Welcome to this edition of Safety First. We're standing outside of the Mobile Command Center, joined now by Lieutenant Jerry Brandsassy with the Suffolk Police Department. And Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Tim.
Now talk to us, we're going to start, people might have seen the unit behind us at a Peanut Fest, or maybe some in the Peanut Fest parade. I believe it was in that as well.
Yes, sir.
So again, it's been out and about in the community, but you may not be seeing a whole lot of it unless an emergency or a situation arises where it needs to be utilized. And let's talk about some of the situations where the command center behind us may be utilized, some kind of basic tenets that may come into play for the Suffolk Police Department.
Well, so it is, like you said, a mobile command, and it'll be used at any natural disaster, any situation which warrants a large or lengthy police presence, hostage negotiation situations, SWAT situations, different areas to where we need to establish a command post or command group to work the particular incident.
Now, when did we actually take receipt of the command center?
September 10th
of 2012
is when it was delivered to the city of Suffolk, September 10th, 2012.
And again, you get a piece of equipment like this, and there are a lot of bells and whistles and things that go with it. So obviously training is a key component to get you and your staff put together to be able to operate the vehicle. Talk about how the staffing is going to work for the vehicle in the event that something comes up where it needs to be called out.
Well, so currently I have 10 police officers assigned to the vehicle, or police personnel. They are in 5 different teams, a 2-person team, and the team consists of a driver and an operator. Each one is cross-trained in each other's job, so those 10 people can drive the bus and they can operate all the various equipment on the bus.
Correct.
Gone through very technical training, gone through some driver training. There's no licensing requirement for this, but they have gone through the CDL booklets and the CDL testing. But again, there's no licensing requirement for that. And then the various pieces of equipment, there's been some formalized teaching from outside vendors and then some internal teaching to where the groups have been tasked with learning about and then teaching other members of the group.
But right now, if something were to happen, the vehicle is ready to go, you got the staffing in place, and it is ready to respond.
That 2-person team is designated for a 1-week period at a time. So yes, the bus can go at any 24/7 notice, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. Now, where did the need for the bus come from? Obviously, there's some other municipalities in the area that have similar piece of equipment, but this one is a lot more advanced. But obviously, Suffolk did not have one before we had this vehicle.
Well, it's more advanced, more so because it's new.
Correct.
The other command centers that are in the region were advanced for their times, but we have some newer technology on the vehicle. It was provided to us by a grant from Homeland Security or the Coast Guard.
Right.
And whenever they gave us the grant, one of the requirements that they had of us is that the command vehicle be a regional asset, meaning that it's available to Newport News, to Hampton, to Virginia Beach, to the Coast Guard, to anyone who may need our services or assistance with it.
Got it. And of course, in those instances where that would come into play, those teams that you talked about, the 2-person teams, would be the ones helping to respond for that, because obviously we're the ones trained to how to use this particular vehicle.
Yes, sir, it is. There's always, no matter where this vehicle is, there's always at least 2 Suffolk police personnel on the vehicle or with the vehicle, no matter where it responds to.
Okay, now we're standing, of course, we got a good vantage point here, and we'll be showing some shots of it as well. But kind of from the outside perspective, take us around the vehicle, starting from the front, just some of the aspects and the features that we're seeing here. I see some satellite dishes. We have a remote camera over there. You've got an outside portal over here with a phone and a monitor. Tell us about what's going on, what we're seeing right here.
Well, what we have, Tim, is actually a 2013 Freightliner vehicle. It's on a Freightliner chassis. It's a custom build by Matthews Specialty Vehicle out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. They built it from the ground up after receipt of the chassis. It has 4 slide outs. What the slide outs are is the extensions, if you will. And when you get inside, you'll understand better what those extensions do for us.
Right.
Fully marked and capable of responding as an emergency vehicle, identifying who we are.
Correct.
The lights that we have on the exterior of the vehicle, the pole lights, those are actual scene lights that allow us to light up the area that we're working in. But what's unique about these lights is they actually come off of the bus and they're set up in a tripod fashion. They plug into the side of the bus, and we have quite a bit of extension cord in one of the storage areas, and we're able to put that light wherever we need it.
Okay.
And that's, again, to increase our visibility in night operations.
Sure.
The center door that we have here is the primary entry exit for the command center.
Okay.
And what you see there next to the door with the phone, that's to grant access, if you will. Whenever we're in a situation, it'll be a secured environment.
Okay.
Anyone who wishes to come into the facility or needs something from someone in the facility, there's an extension on the outside with directions of what to dial to get someone on the inside and explain their needs.
Right.
Also, you see a monitor on the outside.
Yes.
What the monitor gives us, if, for example, when we were set up at Peanut Fest on the Sunday, we
Right.
were experiencing some weather issues.
Yes.
But we were able to provide a weather radar outside so everybody could see what was going on.
Gotcha.
We have understorage that allows us to keep some of our equipment right there with the vehicle that we need. On the very back, you see the little thing turning there with the black bucket.
That's right, yeah.
That's the actual weather station.
Okay.
Inside, you can see the readouts and everything that we have from the weather station.
Got it.
Like you mentioned, the big boom is a camera,
Right.
or not aerial, but it's quite a ways up in the air.
Yes, indeed.
That allows us to monitor the area that we're working in.
Right.
Just when we were set up here today, we were watching your approach into the area.
Okay.
The camera's really good camera that will allow us to go quite a distance to get a lot of information. And then that's all brought into the bus. And not only is the images brought in for us to see what's going on, but it is recorded within
Right.
the...
Okay. And of course, I'm assuming with the aerial vantage point that if you needed to get up and out and kind of see around the area, it gives you a good, in case you're really in the middle of something right there and something's going
Yes.
on in the perimeter, it gives you that ability to have a little bit of a visual presence.
And not only that, with the zoom that's associated with it, we
Right.
don't have to be right at the incident
Exactly.
in order to see the
Sure,
incident.
sure.
The big primary dish that you see there, top middle,
Right.
is how we bring our data into the bus.
Okay.
The facility has been designed, and the technology associated with it allows us to get information just if we were sitting in our patrol car or if we were sitting in our desk for
Got
the
it.
management and for the command staff. They're able to go into the city systems, draw down their information, get on the internet, draw down their information, get into our various law enforcement systems to draw down information.
Got it.
The very front dish that you see on the command vehicle
Yes.
is a DirecTV dish.
Right.
We have 4 DirecTV receivers on the vehicle. The fuel for the vehicle also fuels the generator, so it's all self-contained.
Got it.
150-gallon diesel tank.
Okay.
Then there's also our ability for shore power, which allows us to plug into an area
Right.
where we don't necessarily need the generator.
Exactly.
And then there's some other features that will allow us to bring more data or hard phone lines and different information into the command vehicle itself.
Okay. Well, now we talked a little bit about some of the external features, but now let's go inside and you can take us around there and again show us how everything kind of ties together. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
All right, Tim, we just got on the command vehicle coming in from where my operators and my drivers are most actively going to enter the vehicle, the front door. And what we have here is the driver's compartment. This is where my driver and my operator work from whenever we're moving the bus, and then this allows them to do everything they need to do with regards to safely controlling the bus from one place to the other. We've even gone as far as provide them with a camera system that's on the bus where we have 3 cameras, 1 in the back and 2 on each side, so whenever they're moving they can actually see what's going on. It's even set up to the point where if they turn on the right turn signal, if you will, the whole right side of the bus comes into the screen and then allows them to see their traffic so they're not turning into any traffic that may be passing them. We're fully equipped here with the city radio for police, fire, and rescue channels. Full emergency equipment, siren, lighting, everything of that nature. And then our normal radio that you would get in any vehicle, AM, FM, CD, but this one has a weather station in it. So again, on our natural disaster situations, we're able to monitor through that means. Good, comfortable driver area, but the other thing that we did do with this is we built workstations in the same area.
Right.
These seats fully swivel,
Okay.
so they turn completely around for both the driver and the operator. And this is a fully functioning workstation
Got it.
to where they bring their laptop computer in and it plugs in just like you would plug it in at home,
Right.
with a 110-volt plug down there and connection into the satellite system. And that's for both the driver and the operator. This is our main conference area, if you will.
Right.
The main area. And here we have 2 workstations. And these 2 workstations, you'll see the different televisions
Correct.
throughout, but they're not really televisions.
Right.
There's 11 different TVs on the vehicle, but they also serve as computer workstations.
Which
This one here is actually online right now.
Correct.
And it's a computer monitor. Whereas this one here is on one of our local television stations through over-the-air high def.
Right.
So if I know some people that have DirecTV at home say, well, when the weather's bad, we don't get a signal. Why, you got it for bad weather issues.
I got you.
Well, we also have over-the-air high def antenna that allows us to bring in a local signal. So we can still keep that local news and
again,
weather.
you can individually assign to each monitor what signal you want to send, whether you're operating as a computer or whether using it as a TV monitor or whatever you need to do. Is that correct?
There's matrix switches,
exactly.
if you will. And the matrix switch allows you to bring in different signals. Like here, we're running off of, oh, I take that back, I'm sorry. We're running off of DirecTV. We've got CNN here.
Right.
But if I want to bring in another station, because remember I had the 4 DirecTV receivers.
That's right.
Or if I want to bring in our camera system, there's our camera that's we talked about outside.
Exactly.
I bring that in. And this is how we bring in the different signals to the same monitor.
I understand.
This would serve as a dispatch workstation depending upon what's going on in the back room, which we'll talk about in a little while. Or this could be a station where I'm working at, given assignments, because the work that I'm doing on this is what I can feed to that outside TV.
I understand.
Telephone system throughout the bus, which is a independent system, if you will, so I can call the back room. But we also have 2 cellular lines that come in, which allow us an outside line. And it is through self-service. Dial, just like you were in your office, dial 9, you get an outside line, dial the number that you need. So city staff can call into the bus, or if the chief's not on the bus, he can call into the bus because we have a outside number.
And you mentioned, of course, with the workstation outside the bus needing to call inside. That's the system that you're talking about, where they're basically calling in the facility that we have here, right?
Right, because it's the independent phone system and not the cellular.
Exactly.
We talked about on the outside the weather station.
Yes.
Well, this is the readings, if you will.
Okay.
That's where we get everything pretty much that we need, wind speed, rains, directions, humidities, all the different things that tell us what's going on, what's coming up. A little bit of educational curve associated with it, but that's my team's responsibilities, is to get learned upon all of that. Nice storage.
Correct.
Again, city radios here that allow us to, not just our police channels, but our fire, our citywide channels for any other city services that we may need to talk to. We can switch through here. All the, again, like I said, the workstations on the command bus are just like you sitting in your office, so a network printer that we can pull any of the information on. And then the conference table is set up with the holes, for lack of a better term, that allow the chief to come in with his laptop.
Correct.
And plug into here. And there's a lot of electronic component plugs built into the legs.
Gotcha.
This particular table is one of 3 that's on the command vehicle, but this is the only one that's not removable. It's a completely stationary table.
Now the area behind us, or at least behind the table, we'll shift gears for a second. Right now, again, that's one of those monitors you were talking about, and that's showing the camera, the external camera that you have on the vehicle.
Correct, but what's a little unique about this particular one, this is an NEC system, and it is a computer monitor first and foremost that allows the video signals to come into it. But this is the latest in the touchscreen technology, for lack of a better term, to where if someone's given a briefing of an area, if I wanted to give a briefing of this particular area, I can actually go and I can draw on the screen.
Got it.
We're not doing it with the pins. That's part of what's new with the NEC technology, is we don't use the pins that a lot of us lose. We can actually do it with our fingers.
I understand. Okay.
Individual seating here, the chief, the city manager, whomever that is, doesn't necessarily need to be directly involved in the incident at the time. Again, the phone systems throughout, I believe we have 11 different phones on the bus. But we also have a satellite phone system on the bus too, which is the same satellite phone system that we have in the city's Emergency Operations Center, as well as the city's Emergency Communication Center.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's head to the next section of the vehicle. We'll go ahead over there.
All right, Tim, as we come out of the main conference room, one of the things we notice is that both the main conference room and the back conference room, we're able to close them off completely.
Got it.
So there can be 2 different operations going on the command vehicle. Everything obviously locks in place for safety.
Correct.
Now remember I told you earlier that we primarily use the middle door.
Correct.
So when we first come onto the command vehicle, the first thing everybody's going to see is the brains of the vehicle.
Right.
And that's what this is. This is the brains of the vehicle. This part here is the brains of the bus, if you will. This gives us all the power that we need to all the different areas and all the different outlets and the computers and the plugs and the phones and the radios and everything. This is actually how we control how our sliders go in and out.
Okay.
It's all on a hydraulic system.
Right.
It's got a key. Again, it's safety. Got to have 2 people to operate it. They
Got it.
make sure that the area is clear before we deploy anything.
Right.
And this is the 240 system, and this is the 12-volt system. Whether we're on generator, we're on backup, we're on shore power, whatever we're on, we always have power going to this vehicle.
Got it.
And then we get into technology, if you will.
Right.
These 2 racks is what handles all the technology of the bus.
Okay.
We've got the bus is a hotspot, so the officers that are outside the bus in their police car,
Right.
they may need to get online service. The
Exactly.
bus is a hotspot,
Okay.
a secured hotspot. Then we've got to control all the satellites and everything.
Right.
And the top one here, the wind guard, that's what controls our direct TV satellite, making it go up and down, because we have to keep everything in a down position in order to move the vehicle.
Right.
And then this setup here is what controls the main satellite
Okay.
that's bringing in all the data.
Right.
And then we have a charging system and extra portable radios. And again, these just aren't police radios. These are radios that can be used for any city entity, whether it be public safety, sanitation, public works, anybody, because they have all the frequencies and accesses.
Exactly.
Now, understanding that we're probably going to be on here for a while, we got to eat.
Right.
Got to have our coffee. We've got to have our drink. So
Right.
we do have a microwave, coffee maker, and a refrigerator.
Got it.
And the refrigerator is always stocked with water,
Right.
because that's the one thing that we know our officers need in any of the situations is to stay well hydrated.
That's right.
Some minor storage area here.
Okay.
And then that leads us into the back room, the back conference room.
All right. All right. Let's hit a brain sassy. Move to kind of the rear section of the vehicle. If you can
Yes,
take
sir.
us through this site right here.
Well, this is the back room, if you will. And the back room is going to serve multiple purposes to us. It can still be a command center. For example, some of the citizens who may have walked through the bus at the recent driver days,
Right.
they may have noticed that the back of the bus, whenever they toured through, was being staffed. At that particular time, even though we had the bus open to the public,
Right.
it was being utilized, the back of it was being utilized as a command center.
Got it.
So it's really, really multifunctional. One of the other primary functions of this area back here is the hostage negotiation room. If we have a hostage situation,
Right.
the city's negotiation team will be sequestered, if you will, back here, because this room also has that pocket door that I showed you on the front room.
Exactly.
And everything is completely closed off. I don't know if anyone was able to notice, but even as we come through, there's no windows
That's right.
on this
right.
vehicle. And we purposely did that. We don't necessarily want to see out to see what's going on.
Right.
We want to be able to house and control and get our information so we can properly analyze the situation and what steps we need to take in resolve the situation.
Exactly.
Especially with this room. Part of the
Right.
hostage negotiation piece of it is they don't want to know what's getting ready to happen, because
Correct.
that causes some inflection in the negotiator's voice, if you will. So
Right.
they're completely sequestered.
Right.
If we're not using it for that, if we're at a different scene, for example, Officer Winslow, the manhunt that we had with Officer
Yes.
Winslow that lasted for many, many hours, the fire department helped us out by providing their vehicle to us because we didn't have ours yet.
Correct.
But this room would have been used as a dispatch center because it was an all-day event. There was a lot of public safety jurisdictions came in and helped us. The fire department helped us. Some other city department helped us.
Right.
So this would have been a dispatch center. And I have 4 different workstations back here that I'm able to put dispatchers or even police personnel who are working, police officers who may be working a dispatch capacity back here to work at these stations. And again, even though we may have a TV image up on these screens,
Right.
every workstation has a computer and it's
Correct.
all independent.
Got it.
Again, the other reason we call this a communications room is because, as we talked about the antennas on the roof,
Right.
we have all the radios back in
Correct.
here. This one here being a ham radio.
Okay.
So we felt that important because that's another way in a situation for the citizens to reach us.
That's right.
I do have about 4 staff members that are trained and licensed for ham radio. We also have a marine radio. Again, this being a Coast Guard grant,
Correct.
being a regional asset, as much waterways that we have in our city,
Right.
and the different vessels that we have within the department, it's important for us to have a marine radio so people can seek assistance from us, so we can help them with that.
Right.
Again, our city radio here.
Right.
And then this piece of equipment that we have is what's referred to as an ICANN tracking system. What this allows us, the Coast Guard, other jurisdictions to do is to track vessels. We track vessels by vessel name, by vessel number, by longitude and latitude. And the information that comes through here gets displayed in software that's applied to it, and it brings up a map of the ocean, of the bay, and shows us exactly what's out there and what's coming in the direction that it's coming.
Got it.
Again, everything very independent, some storage.
Right.
We will get a printer. We're getting a printer to put in back
Exactly.
here. So this room is very, very self-sufficient.
Got it. Okay.
Remember I told you that up in the front conference room, that table was stationary.
Correct.
Both of these tables are removable if need be.
Okay.
So not always just for police operations, but for a city operation.
Right.
Where the manager needs to brief all of her department heads. She can bring quite a few different people in here. We can remove some of this stuff, add a couple of more chairs,
Got it.
and this allows her a place where she's able to control the city.
Sure.
Perhaps if something happens at City Hall, if there's a natural disaster, whatever the situation may
Got
be,
it.
that allows not just us to work in here, but other city departments.
Correct. Correct. And I guess that a lot of the things you're talking about speaks to the flexibility and the diversity of the type of equipment that's here and the potential uses for this type of command center. Correct.
Yes, sir. Definitely. It is an asset of the police department,
Right.
but it is a true asset of the city,
Correct.
as well as an asset available to the region.
Region, exactly what we mentioned earlier. Now, of course, the final area we're going to talk about back here, again, you have another removable table.
Yes, sir.
And again,
Removable
some bench
table.
seating around here.
Yep,
but-
with some underseating storage.
Okay.
And you see some storage in the back cabinets. Of course, everywhere's got phones.
Exactly.
We've got to keep our communications open.
Right. And
But-
now the control device here, we see on the back monitor, this is going to help you control, or the operator control, the camera that's mounted on the exterior of the
Right.
vehicle.
We saw the camera sticking way up on the back side of
Correct.
the vehicle.
Correct.
And again, this camera is a programmable camera to where I wouldn't have to necessarily do anything with it if I wanted to see or watch a particular area. And I can set it up, obviously, to sit stationary.
Sure.
Or I can program it to where it can be in a 360 or any variation thereof, 45, 90,
Right.
180,
Right.
where I can just watch a particular area. But if we're actually controlling, we get to move the camera. Again, it goes all the way around,
Right.
pans 360 degrees, and we can see everything around us. Remember we talked about when we were outside that it has a great zoom feature,
That's
if you
correct.
will. And for those that are familiar with Suffolk, where we are is at the end of LBC Industrial Parkway,
Right.
which is probably about a half a mile down from Carolina Road.
Mhm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to see how close, and I'm not a big gamer. If my son was here,
Right,
he'd
right.
have this joystick going
Correct.
down great.
Correct.
But it takes a little finesse, if you will. But this
Exactly.
down here is the traffic lights
Right.
at Carolina and OBC Industrial Parkway.
Correct.
And again, like I said, we're about a half a mile away. And what this does is, like I said, we can be at an incident and we can get some intelligence data about the incident without actually being
Right.
at the incident.
Well, Lieutenant Brancesi, we appreciate you taking the time to take us through the command center.
Yes, sir.
Again, I'm sure we only touched on a small aspect of what this vehicle can do, because again, it's new to the department, it's new to the region, it's new to the city, and I think the uses for such a vehicle are really going to show themselves over time, because we know what we're probably going to really need it for, but you never know the other incidences that are going to come into play. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir. And every time that we've had the vehicle out, and we be in the department at driver days or at Peanut Fest,
Right.
or my staff has had it out for training,
Correct.
there's something new that we learn about it,
Right.
because there's so much technology and technology changing,
Correct.
and then we're always learning. we recently learned, let me rephrase that, we recently helped some of the citizens to understand some of the versatilities of it when it was at driver days.
Correct.
The recent shooting incident that happened in Wisconsin
Right.
happened to come up on the monitors that were on at the time. And one of the citizens was expressing interest in what would we use it for.
Sure.
And there happened to be a command vehicle there
Correct.
at that incident that the officer was able to show the citizen.
Right.
If something like that happened here in the city, this would be there to help control that situation,
Right.
to help the investigation, and to help the recovery, if you will.
And if you think about it from the terms of, you mentioned the Emergency Operations Center the city has over at the Kings Fork Public Safety Center right now. That is a static location.
Yes, sir.
This is something that can go anywhere.
Yes, sir.
And that's the beauty of it, and that's the crux to what you're looking at. It's a mobile command center that can go on site. You set up, and you have all this capability that can be utilized at that particular scene, which is
Yes, sir.
really critical when you're dealing with a particular incident.
And the best example of that, if you will, Tim,
Right.
is when we had the tornado several years ago.
That's correct. Yes.
The city of Suffolk, everyone knows, 434 square miles. But we had a 4 square mile incident
Right.
of devastation.
Right.
This would have controlled that 4 square mile incident of devastation. So the Emergency Operations Center for the city, the Emergency Communications for the city,
Right.
they will handle the other 430 miles of the city for the
Correct.
everyday things that's going on.
Right.
So we enhance our abilities and capabilities for the citizens of that area without detracting anything from the citizens of the rest of the city.
That's correct. Well, again, Lieutenant Brand Stacy, thank you for your time today.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it, and thank you for watching this edition of Safety First.